Hey, so we're back with another book with another reflection.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to this one. I think this is like one of the best-selling, books of all time, at least in recent memory. So I'm sure a lot of the readers out there will have read this one. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's an easy and proven way to guide, or an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And this has just been an atomic success, if you will. I feel like you read this one. I can't remember if you did or not.
I did not. I didn't.
You did not.
It's
Okay.
is in my library, but I haven't got around to it. There's just too many good books that's piling up in my anti-library, and I'm trying to make good use of my the Audible that's on sale. So I've been buying
Gotcha.
these
Gotcha. Well, no harm at all in that. Honestly, like the book's about habits. Like, I mean, it's
mhm.
and I know that you have really strong habits and you know how to build and make and break habits yourself.
Mhm.
And like actually that was one of the things I started off this reflection. I'll go ahead and share my screen with the reflection title is you got to make it an identity. So every new habit begins with believing. So what that meant for me, this is an important thing, and it was kind of like one of those like aha, kind of moments that I had when I read this book. Like as you know, I'm pretty good at starting and breaking habits. I'm pretty like we've been, you and I have met for almost 2 years straight. Every single night for the most part, minus like a few vacations here or there, or some other emergency that's come up. But come snow, rain, sunshine, whatever's going on, like you and I have found a way to meet. I write every morning, I read every morning, I exercise every morning, I play tennis, all the time, regularly. We've started a nonprofit. You and I meet every single night. Like, there's a lot of like habitual things that I built into my life, and it was powered by Amelia. And that whole entire atomic blast that I guess went off in my own life, and me, searching for, my, a way to live my values every single day in her honor, which is really what drives those values or those habits for me.
Mhm.
However, I saw this book was like a huge successful bestseller, and I was like, look, I may know how to make and break habits now, pretty well, but I can always learn something. So that's what this whole
Right.
journey is about. It's a year of magical learning. So I picked up this book, and honestly, I have to, like as I said in the beginning of this, I have to hand it to James Clear. I get why this book is so popular. He probably wrote the best like practical how-to guide that I've ever read. It was just super clear and concise, actionable, made sense. Like it was one of those like perfect length books too, where it wasn't like too long, it wasn't too wordy, it wasn't too, it just it got to the point, told you how to make and break habits, told you how the power of habits are built. It's very practical, right? It's
Mhm.
not philosophical about the power of habits necessarily. It's not it's not the why behind it. It's not your about your
Right.
values, mission. It's literally just how to make and break a habit,
Right.
and it's pretty it's pretty spot on.
Mhm.
um
So he
so
knows how to live up to his name.
yes, he's very clear. Yes, James
James
Clear
Clear,
is
exactly.
is very clear. The funny thing is I actually happened to be reading this book when I started writing my own book for Amelia, for my daughter,
Hmm.
called I Can't Imagine. And this was around August, I think, of 2020. And I had just gotten back to work. Amelia had passed away back in April, and I'd been on my kind of my quest, I guess, if you will, to kind of find purpose again in my life and understand what the hell just happened to my family.
Hmm.
And we had finished the journaling for Amelia, and I was ready to start to write her book. And it was something I was really, really passionate about, motivated about. But the truth was I had no idea how to write a book. Like I'm the words Chris Sears, an author or book writer, like those didn't go together before I met my daughter. Like that
Hmm.
wasn't who I was. That was not my identity. And it was probably one of the furthest things in my own mind of something that I ever thought that I would ever do. Probably close to Chris Sears climbing Mount Everest or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like it just, those words just didn't compute in my own head of like Chris Sears writing a book, like that just never, wildest dreams kind of thing. and I wasn't writing this book because, of any other reason other than my daughter. I had a story, like, what is a writer? What is a story? It's a story. Somebody has a story to tell, and I definitely had a story to tell, and I had to tell the story for my daughter. So I happen to be reading this book around that time, and as you know, I do like these 30-day challenges every single month, where I pick like a new challenge and try to challenge myself to do it. This month I'm on no caffeine, and it's been pretty awful to be honest with you. I've done this now for the past couple years, and it's always fun, what you go through. Well, this particular month, knowing that I wanted to start writing the book, my challenge to myself was, after I got done with my normal writing in the morning, I wanted to dedicate at least a minimum of 30 minutes, before work, to start working on the book every single day. And that first month I failed miserably, just miserably. I think I wrote like 5 or 6 days out of the entire month, for Amelia's book in particular. I didn't know what to do. I had an outline, I had a plan, I had I knew the story that I had in my head that I wanted it to come out. But I don't know. I just, like I said, I didn't believe that I could actually do this, when I started to sit down and write it. So I happened to be reading this book, and, one of the big ahas that I got out of it from James Clear was, if you really want to make a habit stick, you gotta believe that is who you are. Like, i.e., if you're going to climb Mount Everest, you are somebody that climbs Mount Everest. Like, right now in your head, think about everything that somebody that climbs Mount Everest would do. What's their diet? What do they train? How do they live? Like, what's the, what, that's you. Like, you are somebody that climbs Mount Everest. Like, if you want to go be a professional pickleball player, you are a pickleball player. I joke around a lot of times. I play tennis, right? And every single time that I go and play pickleball, I always, and it's like, I don't even know if I subconsciously just do it, but I always tell whoever my partner is, if I'm playing doubles or whoever I'm playing singles against, I'm a tennis player that's just playing pickleball today. I almost just instinctually say that, because I just want them to know, like, I am not a pickleball player. I'm a tennis player. Like, that's what I do. But the funny thing is, every time I kept saying that, I kept going, why do I say that? Why can't I be a pickleball player? And the truth is, I just don't want to commit my identity to saying that I'm a pickleball player. So it was a similar situation here with, like, I didn't know if I believed in myself enough that I was going to be able to write this story. However, it wasn't about me. It was about my daughter. So, I committed to the fact that, I am a writer. I'm going to write her story. I have a story to tell, and I have to do this for her. So I sat down, I wrote every single day, and, 8 months later, the manuscript is complete. And, every single day, I wrote before work, and, before you knew, you had a 400-page book, that I was able to tell my daughter's story and share with the world. And, yeah, so that was my big lesson, I would say, and reflection from Atomic Habits was, if you want to start a new habit, you got to believe and make it an identity, and that's where it really starts for me. Like, obviously the why, the purpose, all those things are foundational level, but if you want to start a brand new habit, you have to take ownership of, like, this is me, this is a part of me, if you want it to stick. So yeah, turn it over to you. I'll give it. What are your thoughts?
Yes. So for me, I have not read this book, but I can understand, and I can really agree with what you said in terms of try to immerse yourself in that role, whatever that role is. If you want to be a writer, then you say, well, I'm a writer, because the moment you give yourself a way out, a scapegoat, and you'll
quit.
Yeah, your subconscious somehow will take that action. Like I said, I did not read this book, and I didn't know this was the reason why a lot of people are able to create new habits and break habits. But I've my caffeine quitting stories is pretty much exactly what this is. It's because one day I say, well, I'm not a coffee drinker. I decide I'm not a coffee. After 40 plus years of drinking coffee, I mean, I drink coffee at an early age, because my dad is a coffee drinker. His parents and grandparents are coffee drinker. We even have a coffee plantations, and coffee is in my vein, and I drink to the point where I drink only coffee, no water. Even though so I drink coffee instead of water, because there's obviously water in coffee, but essentially I would drink 6 to 8 cups of this coffee a day, every day, including Sunday. And for me to quit isn't the easiest thing,
Right.
because caffeine has the addiction. And so I did try to quit when I was in my early 20s. It didn't work. I went suffer for a month. I did quit, and then I came back to it. But after reading the book, why we sleep, I decided that I'm not a coffee drinker anymore, and
Yeah.
that was it, like cold turkey. And I never think about it again. And to me, it makes sense. If you assume the identity of a non-coffee drinker, then it's
Yeah.
it's like the everything seems like, okay, if I'm not a
It all
coffee drinker,
changes.
I
Yeah.
don't drink, I don't think about coffee,
Yeah.
I don't crave coffee, I don't remember coffee, I don't miss coffee. And so I think this is really good, just because um it confirms that this techniques actually works.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
Even that, for me, not reading the book, and I've done something by accident, but it confirms that technique. And so I think having embrace yourself in the role, immerse yourself in that whatever identity that you want to become, you shall get it. Because if you don't leave your subconscious a way out, then the only way to go is forward. And so I think that's going to be the most impactful and the most effective way to form new habits or break habits. In my case, break away from the caffeine.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can employ deploy whatever tactic you want to deploy, but until you believe that you want
Yes.
to do it, it doesn't matter.
I think that one is the crucial element that
right.
cannot be omitted.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to start from there. I mean, otherwise, because as I do these 30-day challenges all the time, like I know kind of when I start out with one of them, whether or not I'm really going to stick with it afterwards or not. The Year of Magical Learning was one of these journeys that this was like,
because
like 7 months ago.
It's something that you're not trying. You should say, I'm just gonna do.
Exactly. I was like, this is me. This is what I want to do anyway. It wasn't hard. I didn't miss a day. It wasn't hard at all. As a matter of fact, it was the easiest probably challenge that I've done in all of the challenges. However, like the ones that are really hard, like when I tried to be bored for 10 minutes every single day, like that's not me. And I don't want that to be me. I don't want to be the guy that just is like bored, like that's, I knew going into it, I was going to fail. I knew that I wasn't going to make that a part of my identity. I can kind of sense it now whenever I set these challenges. I'm just waiting for the month
you
to
probably
end.
You probably knew ahead of time whether whether you make it or not. Because if you have to say, I'm gonna try this, well, you're not gonna. It's not gonna last, because you're gonna. You're waiting for the day when it stops.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just literally waiting for the day, like when I give up no chips, and I love chips. Like chips are my identity when it comes to snack food, right? And I literally was waiting for the absolute minute the clock turned over, the 30 days, where I was like, thank God, give me some chips. I ran to the store and I got chips, and I was like, chip.
Yeah.
It was. I am a chip guy. Like that's my identity. I'm gonna always have a habit of eating really delicious tortilla chips.
Yes, until you take on another persona, it's not gonna go away. Because for me, I love coffee.
Right.
I mean, I love the aroma. I love the taste. I drink it black, right? That's how much I love coffee. I drink it jet black,
you gotta
right?
like it a lot.
and a lot of times when I make the coffee, right, the coffee that I usually drink, it's basically like the Vietnamese coffee. So in Asia or in French, like they do the espresso, right? So they don't actually filter out the caffeine.
Yeah.
In most American coffee bag, they filter out some of the caffeines already. They wash it out. So there's less caffeine content. So when I make coffee, in using the American machine, I will put double. I would double so I would 2 bags of one instead of once. And I love coffee, but for me so I'm trying to say that I really addicted to this thing, but I was able to quit cold turkey without even thinking about it. Right. Is what I did is I told myself that I am not a coffee drinker anymore, and I don't drink it. I tell people I don't drink coffee anymore.
Yeah.
And that was history.
my challenge this month is no caffeine, right? Actually, and ironically, the book that I'm literally reading right now is the book Caffeine by Michael Pollan. It's about
Uh-huh.
like the history of caffeine in our culture and stuff like
Right.
that. So I was just listening to that actually right before you and I hopped onto this conversation. So and he was talking a lot about why we sleep, which obviously I know that was a big impactful book for you in terms of
Mm-hmm.
why, he so I'm on the fence of whether or not I don't love caffeine. Like I don't love coffee. I don't love tea or anything like that. I enjoy it. I don't mind having it in the morning kind of thing. I like a warm beverage in the morning. I guess
Right.
you could make warm water in the morning. You can make but I'm actually kind of on the fence of whether or not my identity is a
Right,
caffeine
because
drinker or not right now. So we'll see how it goes.
if you want it and you can immerse yourself, then you can do it. Like I said, I tried before, it didn't work because
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to give it up. I didn't want to immerse yourself, and to kind of relate to the question that you asked, what limiting belief you are holding back from your desire to new habits? Because when you are playing pickleball, you don't want to say I'm a pickleball player. So you making a excuse for yourself and other people
Yep.
that hey guys, I'm a tennis player that happens to play pickleball because
Right.
you give yourself that. So you're not
Not all in.
taking in exactly. You're not all into it. You didn't burn the ship.
Right.
So you have a way back, and so that's for a lot of people is if you decide to do that, you have to go forward with that identity. If you don't, then it just basically you're just taking a break. It's not
Yeah.
it's not habit. It's not a habit because habit is something that you do without thinking.
I
Right?
agree.
You
I
have to
mean, yeah.
do, you have to do so. You have to believe and immerse yourself in it. If you say, and a lot of time, beyond just having the awesome power of this technique itself, the limiting belief you're holding back, that's also to me is also another element that we have to consider as well. Because for example, if I for me, let's say I'm a non-native speaker, and if I tell myself that because I'm a non-native speaker, I could not be eloquent, right?
Right.
If I believe in that, then that's the limiting belief that will never get me to a point where I become a good speaker.
Yeah.
Or if I say I'm an introvert and I believe in it, then I will never be able to be, have podcasts and do whatever, right? So,
Right.
I mean, whether or not you say, hey, I'm not good at math or whatever, I would not be able to code. To me, if you take on the I guess the traditions of whatever people told you, and not leave it behind, then that belief becomes your constraint that limits you,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
I think that's an amazing point. And reminds me of like the whole Hogwartsing of the world, where we like lump people into these categories of
Mm-hmm.
you're a Slytherin and this is what a Slytherin does and who the Slytherin is. And you're like, well, but I want to be a Gryffindor or something like that, like,
Right.
but the fact that we just always categorize ourselves and like, dump this is you, like you are
Right.
a programmer that is an introvert that doesn't like to do XYZ, like that drinks a lot of caffeine, and like that's you, like and that's
Yes.
always going to be you, and I'm
Yes.
always the tech guy that the sales guy that like plays sports and like is a fun loving guy, but like whatever. I mean, but at the same time, like limited on what my potential
Yes.
I can't go code. I can't go be a mathematician or something like that.
Exactly.
I actually remember one of my buddies that I play tennis with, and I think I've told you this before. He's a world renowned like mathematician. Like he's been a professor at Princeton, at University of Michigan, where he's at right now. He travels the world to do like lectures and stuff like that. I mean, he is like literally like a Sheldon Cooper, from like the Big Bang Theory of math. And he and I, after we were playing one day, I was telling him like how bad I've always been at math my whole life. And he was like, Chris, he's like, I know you well enough to know that you love problem solving and you love solutioning. He was like, and being creative and finding, new paths forward. He was like, that's math. And I'm like, that's not math. Math is memorizing a bunch of like, problems and equations and, whatever. And he was like, no, that's what they teach you in school. He's like, that's not math. He was like, math
Yes.
is being super creative and like seeing things that aren't there and trying to figure out how to solve a puzzle, and I'm like, well, fuck. Oh, sorry. I'm like, maybe I could have been good at math, but my whole life I always said, I'm awful at math, and I've just always believed that. Like that's,
Right.
I've never
Yeah.
tried to be better at math, like, because I just was like, yeah, well, not good at that,
Yes.
yeah. And people
So
told me I was.
lessons learned is we need to be aware of these limiting beliefs that we've been conditioned to hold back, because you told yourself that you never going to be a math guy, right?
Yeah,
And because of that, you won't ever going to believe yourself to be a math guy. And
yeah,
that is going to be the only reason that they're going to hold you back. And
yeah,
so the lesson is take that down,
right,
break down that wall, break down the limiting belief. If you want to be something, and if you want to drink coffee and caffeine, that's fine. But the reason you don't want to is because you don't want to, not because you couldn't.
right.
So if you have something you want, don't think of the word couldn't be the reason why you don't believe in.
Yeah,
So
and
if you want to be, like I said, you want to be a billionaire, right? Then believe to be a billionaire, then you will be a billionaire. Because if
right.
you say, well, I'm not that smart, or I'm not that networked or connected, or well connected, or whatever, then you won't, because you don't immerse yourself
You have
and
your
take
belief. Yeah,
on the identity of being that person.
yeah.
But whether
It's
you be a coder, a programmer, an astronaut, a policeman, whatever it is you want, if you believe in it, you're going to find ways to do it. And
the,
if you hold the limitations of it, then you won't. That's, to me, that's the caution I want to bring out and kind of make people aware of that.
I could agree more. And this is the fun of the Year of Magical Learning, because the compound effect of all these different books, right? Like as
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about this, I'm thinking back through a few books back that we did was Thoughts Become Things, Infinite
Mm-hmm.
Possibilities, right? And that's basically starting with belief. Like if
Right.
you think you can actually do it, you got to believe you can do it. And if you want it
Yes.
to become an actual thing, then it goes back to give and take, the one that we talked about before of not just yourself believing in what you can do, but if other people believe that, like, Chris, you could be a mathematician. Like my friend that's a mathematician said, Chris, you could be good at math. And I'm going to go, oh shit, somebody else believes I can be good at math. And then if I believe that I can be good at math, then like, like it's that
Yes.
extra little push from somebody else
Yes.
of giving that belief as well to somebody saying, hey,
Mm-hmm.
true, you can be a gregarious extroverted
Right.
podcast
Right.
that does, they can be a sales guy, they can do all this stuff. And I'm like, I'll teach you what that looks like. Do you want to
Yes.
learn? Like, if you
Yes.
believe that you can do it, like I'll help you,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
and
And
vice
to
versa.
me, that's a
Teach me to do it.
foundation that I've learned, that I think I'm fortunate to learn, before it's too late, is I can I can be anything I want as long as I want it. For example, I told you I don't like to write, right? So if the reason for me not to write because I don't like to write, it's fine. But the reason for me not to write because I don't think I could write, that's a wrong reason.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So what do you think? Do you think you can write?
I think I can write. I
Well,
just
then do
don't
it.
want to write.
Well, then
Because
take the Year of Magical Learning journey. We're
I'd
about to
rather
launch a
talk to
new.
you about the thoughts and opinions that I have rather than to write down. It's different for different people, but it's
I
not.
get it.
I don't believe in the reason why I don't write is because I don't know how to write. I know I can learn how to write.
Right.
That
Yeah.
for sure.
100%. Yeah. Yep. Well, so we are getting ready to launch, officially the Year of Magical Learning website, where you can, do your own Year of Magical Learning, and then we can turn it into a book for you. So maybe you should do the Year of Magical Learning adventure yourself and start to write your own stuff, and we'll turn it into a book for True's Year of Magical Learning. Then we can, turn into a blog, the podcast and
Well,
blog
I
posts.
have a podcast of Year of Magical Learning.
Well, exactly.
Uh,
Well, we'll do your books when we're done. Like, you get to work on it, man, and we'll write your reflections, and we'll flip it around, and you can do yours.
we'll
That'll be
see.
fun. Yeah. Awesome. Well, good conversation. And the question for everybody, if you didn't catch that one, is what limiting beliefs are holding you back from your desired new habits? Yeah, I mean, we believe in you. How about that? So whatever, like, if you need some extra encouragement from us, know that we believe that you can do whatever you want to do, and thoughts can become things. And let us know how we can help. So
Yeah, I second that.
love it. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, until tomorrow.
We'll see you next time.
All right.